Welcome to our biweekly update, where we'll go over some crime stats, some current events, and give the opportunity for you all to ask some questions so we can better inform the public. So, kind of one of the big things that happened last night that you all were very, very helpful with as far as the media and the public is a 10-year-old missing girl where we issued an Operation Return Home. So the information that we got was that she got off the bus sometime before 5 o'clock and never went home. And I think 5 or 6 hours later is when we were live on camera down at 17th and Broadway, that area, with Lieutenant Les Skaggs of the Homicide Unit. The Homicide Unit houses the Missing Persons Unit, and so it was important to us to get as much quality information out as quickly as possible. Kids run away, kids go missing, people go missing all the time. We have about 1,900 missing persons reports a year, but when a 10-year-old is missing for that long, it is very, very concerning. And so that's why we issued the Operation Return Home, trying to bring as much public attention to this situation as possible. And so with the cooperation of the public, our real-time crime center was able to track some of her movements throughout the early evening hours, and officers were able to locate her using some of the video and photos that they had of her. They located her around 17th and Broadway. And I just want to give a shout out to all of those officers that spent hours. We had the air unit out, we had the drones out, several detectives as well as officers were working tirelessly to make sure that we found this girl and were able to return her safely to her home. So we are very satisfied with that outcome. Subsequent to that, I know that missing persons has been a topic of conversation over the past week, considering that we did have one missing person recently that ended up being a victim of homicide. And so, we still, we understand that every family, it's when they have a missing person in their family, it's the most important thing to them in that moment. We want to make sure we provide as much information as we can to them and walk them through that process and make sure that they get taken care of throughout that process. So in that particular case, we've followed up on several leads. We have a lot of information, and I'm hoping to be able to give you some more specific information about the case involving Miss White very soon. Unfortunately, some of it is we still have to keep close to the chest because of the investigation that's ongoing. We want to make sure that we protect that. But we recognize that it's understandable for the family to be upset. And when they don't have that sense of justice of having someone having been captured already, they're looking for somebody to blame, and that's fine for them to be upset with us. We can take that. And we hope that we'll be able to bring justice and closure to that family soon. Going into some of the crime numbers right now, so you see that we are still trending down by about 30% in homicides, non-fatal shootings, and robberies and carjackings. Our fatal traffic accidents are also down, and so we want to make sure that we are continuing that trend over time. And so I want to give you a little bit of update about our crime plan and where we're going with that, particularly in those sustained focus improvement areas that we've highlighted as part of our crime plan. Yesterday, we had a quarterly meeting about the crime reduction plan, where those divisions highlighted the work that's being done in those SFI areas. And just to give you a little bit of update on how that's going, we had in those areas, we had a 43% reduction of homicides in those areas, a 15% reduction in overall violent crime, which is exactly what we want to see. If you just take SFI 1 by itself, which is primarily in the Russell neighborhood, self-initiated activity by police officers, so that's traffic stops, that's pedestrian stops, that's what we call 1011s. Those are citizen and business contacts. So just officers stopping by businesses and making contacts. That went up 375% year over year. That's absolutely amazing. And then when you look at the things that are non-police and non-enforcement related, just an example of, we identified in those SFI areas 3,800 streetlights that were out. Public Works and LG&E worked to restore 90% of those non-working streetlights. If you think about how quickly that got done in, the first quarter. That coordination between all of these units is what this is about, is making sure that we take care of those neighborhoods in a bigger way. And I really have to give a shout out to Public Works, Jennifer Kern and that team, as well as Codes and Regs. Richard Price over at Codes and Regs has been absolutely on top of this, making sure that these vacant and abandoned properties are getting taken care of. They're getting boarded. Odell Henderson runs that division of Codes and Regs, and they have absolutely been critical. And so the coordination between other metro government entities has been crucial in this. And so it is really nice to have everybody working on the same page together, trying to get things done. I also want to highlight one of our other units within LMPD and some of the work that they've done. You may have heard about a kind of a high-profile arrest that was made by our Crimes Against Children unit and in our OSPI unit. Detective Lauren Payne works in our Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force with the FBI. And that entire unit is working very, very sensitive cases. They do amazing work. Just like everybody else, they're understaffed and overworked. And the work that they've done to take bad people off the street who are preying on children is absolutely amazing. And it's work that I could not do. I do not have the tolerance for it, the patience for it. But the fact that there are people that are willing to do that type of work, expose themselves to that type of emotional risk, and follow through to make sure that people get prosecuted and taken off our streets that are doing those horrible things is absolutely amazing. And I want to make sure that we recognize them for that good work. So just want to give a shout out to that group. And this is just a photo of from the meeting yesterday with all of the city entities in our quarterly meeting. So really good shout out to them. Another thing to point out is that Public Works has cleared over 300,000 pounds of debris and trash off the streets of the SFI areas. And they've also added 6 more cameras for illegal dumping. As you know, we can prosecute people and seize their vehicles for illegal dumping in the city. And so that dedication to that is going to be critical to making sure that we clean up these areas and give people their neighborhoods back where they're proud to live and work. And then recruitment. So I want to point out that our applications are up across the board. It looks like this next recruit class that we just selected yesterday will be about 33 people. So that's the largest class we've had in a couple of years. As you've seen, we've had smaller recruit classes than the past. And it's really important that if we want to get this work done, we have to have not just the number of people, but the right people coming through for us. And the recruitment staff has done an absolutely amazing job. They are all over the place. As far as college fairs, one of the things that they also have done, you can see many of the colleges that they go to. They're at about a college every other day or so, trying to recruit, trying to build those relationships. I think, Addie, you just noticed what's put in there prominently, that big L in the middle. And then that tiny little school that's a little bit to the east of us that we don't like to talk about, but somebody has to go there. So we'll even take the students from that school that shall not be named. We'll allow them to come and serve our community as well. But one of the things I want to talk about is that the state has actually created a program called Military to Law Enforcement. It's a pipeline to help those transitioning from the military life into law enforcement. And one of our recruiters, Tyree, he is a former military guy, and he has taken the lead on working with Fort Knox. Tyree Williams, he's taken the lead on working with Fort Knox to make sure we drive that program and we start to build that pipeline. And so we'll have our first person from that program coming to LMPD, hopefully in this next recruit class. And the current recruit class will be graduating tomorrow. So 13 graduates, we're very proud of them. They'll graduate at 11 o'clock tomorrow out at Southeast Christian. This picture is from a trip that I've spoken about where they go to Washington, D.C. So as part of the recruiting training, we want our new officers to understand the impact that they have and the importance of the job that they do in keeping people safe. But we also want them to understand the history of our role internationally as well as locally. And so as part of that, we send them to Washington, D.C., where they go on a visit to the Law Enforcement Memorial. You know, it's Law Enforcement Week. But they go to the Law Enforcement Memorial, but they also go through a law enforcement history program through the African American Heritage Museum as well as the Holocaust Museum. If you have not been to either one of those places, I would recommend it 100%. It is really a life-changing experience to go to either one of those places. And so we're fortunate enough to be able to put them through this program so that they see the true impact that they can have on society. So with that, we'll open it up to, I'm sure what you have is many questions.
I got some recruiting questions.
Yes, sir.
This MAX 62, what's the schedule on them? When will they start and when will they graduate?
So do we have the actual start date? It's in June. Yeah. So it's so the academy is about 16 weeks. Then they go through what we call field training. So they will ride with a training officer for about 16 weeks as well.
Do you know anything about demographics of this class?
I can get you the exact demographics. We have it from what we've selected. We're still waiting to hear back. We've put out job offers to all of them, so we want to make sure that we'll get that once we have it locked in.
And what do you attribute the increase to? 33 people, that's quite a bit compared to this last.
Right. So I think the difference in this class versus previous classes is multifaceted. One, I think the environment around policing has changed kind of nationally and locally as well. The level of negativity that has been, sent our way is starting to wane as people really understand the importance of this career. The other thing is that I think the officers here at LMPD, that is always the biggest source of recruitment. And I think they're starting to enjoy their jobs again, and they have pride in what they do, and they're starting to talk about it, and that's what we want. This job is not easy. Leadership can't make this job easy, but we can make people very proud of where they work, and that's our goal, is to make them really, really good at their job and proud of what they do, so they go tell others about it and recruit. And then obviously our recruiting unit, one of the things that we did a couple of years ago is we separated. We used to have recruitment and selection used to be one thing. So recruitment officer would go through, they would try to get Paul Miles to come and work for us, and then we'd do all your background and investigation to vet you. And we've separated those two jobs. So I'll recruit you, try to get you through the door, and then we have somebody else that spends time on your background. And I think that's given them a little bit more capacity to be able to go out and reach people.
Starting pay for this class?
So the starting pay, you actually end up in the first year making about $55,000 in the first year, because part of that is academy time, part of that is actual sworn time where you get a pretty good pay bump. About 2 years, you're making $75,000 easily. And obviously we know that there's always work to be done. So really the amount of work that an officer wants to do is going to determine how much they make.
Chief, forgive me if you're exposed to this. How many more in this recruitment class compared to?
So right now, I think we're sitting at 33, and this recruit class that we're graduating tomorrow is going to be 13. So that is a huge jump. Now, we'll have some attrition in the academy. There will be some people who either don't make it or realize this profession isn't for them, but this should be our largest recruiting class graduating in several years.
Chief, the other day whenever I was asking you a couple of questions, you said you guys reviewed your standing operating procedures regarding missing person. I was just curious what exactly you guys reviewed.
The policy. So we read through the policy and made sure that, one, that we still felt comfortable with it. We don't have knee-jerk reactions. I think that's part of the problem that we've had historically, is that we've often been an agency that makes sweeping changes because of one issue. And I don't think that's a good way to operate, because what you end up being is the product of every crisis, as opposed to having a strategic plan for where you want to end up and a vision. And so when things happen that cause some attention, we can take a step back, look at it, and say, all right, is this still where we need it to be? and that policy is perfectly fine, and it appeared that everything in the Miss White case was done according to policy. And I know that that might not be a satisfactory answer for her family, and I understand that, and we're never going to be able to bring their loved one back. So it's an unfortunate situation, but it's the case.
And you said again on Tuesday that, the response was not racially motivated. And so what is your kind of response to people knowing the history of discrimination that the Department of Justice has said LMPD has had a history of? What is your kind of response to them on that?
That is my response. It's not racially motivated. We have officers that go out there every day to work in this community and protect people of all races, all genders, all backgrounds and religions. And I trust that particularly in this case, since we have put a lot of scrutiny in it, that was done the right way, and it was done without any motivation of race or gender or anything else. When you look at our Operation Return Homes, those numbers about perfectly match each other. The number of black citizens and white citizens that get an Operation Return Home. So the fact that they match is probably actually skewed, that we have issued more percentage-wise for black citizens. So those officers did a good job, and I have no qualms about the actions that they took.
And say also curious too, like the family said that when the officer initially had gone, whether that had been for I think it was after the fact of the initial welfare check, but the family said that they were there and were offering to the officer to go inside. What is from your all's point of view, if the family's there and says, we can unlock the door and open it, you all still can't go inside?
So I'll kind of hit you with the Uno reverse on this and ask you a question. If your sister showed up to your house because she hadn't talked to you in a couple of hours and said, I'll let you in, I'll let the police in Addie's house so they can search the house, would you be okay with that? All right, that's what we call illegal. So we can't do that. So a third party cannot give us permission without what would constitute probable cause to enter somebody else's house. That even works for space inside of a house. So if we live together, you cannot give permission for somebody to go into my room, even though we live in the same house and then you might own the house. I, as an adult, have an expectation of privacy that you cannot sign away for me. And so this is the thing about democracy, is that there's a balance. And so we err on the side of making sure that we protect people's rights. And that's what was done in this case.
And like you were saying that there wasn't any evidence of showing of foul play, is that kind of why you, again, weren't able to rise into a higher level? Is that still?
Right. And so when you take this situation with this juvenile, no evidence of foul play with the juvenile, but you're talking about age, and then when you start to combine that with time and it's starting to get nighttime, the level of danger starts to be more apparent. And so if we had other signs that danger was more apparent that we could act on, we certainly would have.
You guys upgraded charges against Jamal Sheikh in this Valley Station shooting earlier this month. What do you guys think the motive was behind this incident?
I don't have the specifics on the upgrade to those charges. Do either of you?
I mean, the upgrade was that the victim passed away, so it was upgraded from assault to a murder charge. But as far as motive, I don't think we're ready to release that.
There was a video that was kind of circulating on Facebook, social media, where a woman claims that she was pulled from a car by a police officer with LMPD. I guess I should first ask if you're aware of it or seen it, and if so, was that handled appropriately? I believe she was driving a crime scene or something like that.
So the question was about the video circulating on social media with the woman that alleged she was pulled from a car. It's not an allegation. We pulled her out of the car, and we are aware of it. And so a standard use of force report and investigation will be done, and we'll make sure that everything was done the right way. What I will say is that when the police tell you to leave, I'd advise you to leave, so you won't get pulled out of your car. Now, if that officer did anything wrong in the meantime, we'll take care of that. Yeah, you can trust we'll take care of that. But when we're dealing with a shooting, the last thing we need is somebody who can't follow simple directions, like leave. It's not that complicated.
Back to the recruiting. Have you guys set a goal as to getting a certain number of recruits each class, and are you meeting that goal?
So do we have a goal of recruitment? So our basic goal every year is the same. It's 48, 3 classes of 48 people, and we are clearly not meeting that goal. But obviously, you see we're skewing in the right direction. We need more applicants overall. Our attrition rates are down, so we have fewer officers leaving. We have officers that are wanting to return, that have retired or have gone to other agencies. So all the signs are pointing in the right direction, and we have to make sure that we continue this trend going in that right direction. And, hopefully we can pretty soon get to full classes of 48 again.
Is the pool up or down, or is it as strong as you want it to be?
So the applicant pool, I would say, is not as strong as we want it to be. And I don't think that is unique to LMPD as in policing, and I don't think that's unique to any business. I think everyone is struggling to find qualified workers. And I don't want to get into a larger societal conversation, because I remember when I was the young kid that everybody said this new generation is horrible, and I don't think this new generation is horrible. I think we just have to figure out a way to connect with people that aren't our age, and so that they understand the value of work and the value of service. It's not that people don't want to do a good job. It's not that people don't want to take care of themselves. We just have to figure out a way to communicate that better and get that across to them.